Hello and welcome to another episode of docrafts TV. Today we're joined by the lovely Keren Baker, who's going to show us her DIY embossing paste technique. Hi Keren, welcome along.
Hi.
Nice to see you today. So, what are we going to be getting up to today?
Well, I thought I would do something a bit make it yourself. Lots of people who like stamping and using stencils and things are using embossing paste, which is actually quite expensive to buy. And I thought, well, let's have a go at making our own.
Fantastic.
So with the trusty aid of the internet, I tried lots of different recipes.
Good.
And this, what I've got today, was the most successful.
Wonderful.
And it's actually really inexpensive as well.
Fantastic. That sounds perfect.
Yeah, so to make it, we just need 3 ingredients.
Lovely.
Any talcum powder.
Okay.
Your Anita's tacky glue.
Okay.
And some acrylic paint.
Wonderful.
Okay, the artist acrylic paint. Now the beauty of this embossing paste is you can colorise it to any colour you like.
Oh.
So if you've got some chalks at home, you can grind those up and add those in. But any of the artist acrylic paints, just use that colour, so you can have whatever colour you like.
Okay.
If you only got white, that doesn't matter because we can actually add colour on at the end. So the recipe is a tablespoon of paint,
Okay.
a tablespoon of glue, and half a cup of talc.
That's really simple.
It's really
Brilliant.
easy.
We will put that recipe obviously online at docrafts.com as well, so you don't have to remember it. So we'll pop it on along with all the instructions for the rest of Keren's project as well. So take a look at that afterwards.
Okay, so you just mix them all together.
Lovely.
And when you first mix it, it looks really stodgy. You do need to add a few little drops of water.
Okay.
It's difficult specifying the water because it depends on the type of talc you've got and whether you've been really, really careful about measuring. But all you need to do is just keep adding until you end up with sort of a mix that will just blob off.
Okay.
So that's a sort of
Again, adding
texture.
little and often with the water.
Just go easy with
really
it.
give it a little mix.
And if you leave it, because I mean I made this at the beginning of this week, and I've just kept it in an airtight container.
That's good.
So it will last for a little while as well.
Brilliant.
But because it's so inexpensive, you can keep using it.
Yeah.
For those of you that couldn't be doing with this, there is a filler that you can buy. It's a lightweight filler. You can get it from any of the sort of do-it-yourself shops. You know you've got the right stuff because if you feel it, it feels like it's empty.
Oh yeah. Are you sure it's not empty?
No, it's definitely full. But the only disadvantage to that is it's about £6 odd to buy. And once you've opened it,
these things always go off, don't they? When you're doing some DIY after you've used it once, you have to throw it away, don't you?
So it's still cheaper than what you could buy on the craft market.
Okay.
But this is so quick and easy.
You
know,
you're only making what you need, aren't you? You're not making like 500 ml of it.
Absolutely. So that's what our paste is. Now, obviously, if you're using embossing paste, you need some sort of a stencil.
Sure.
I'll just put the lid on that so it doesn't dry out. I had a few goes at different types of stencils.
Okay.
You can use cardstock for stencil. And if I show you my don't do it how I did it version. This was using a sort of a double thickness of sort of 300 GSM card. I put sort of these cardstock, stuck them together, die cut them. But as you can see, it's actually too thick and it's all cracking. Can you see that there?
It's a bit lumpy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a bit lumpy.
So that's what not to do.
That's not what to do. You don't need it really, really thick. I mean, obviously, if you're putting it on a canvas or something, it wouldn't matter because it's not going to warp the canvas, but it will warp the card if you put it on too thick.
Because it's very tempting sometimes, isn't it, to think, oh, I want to make that deeper and thicker, so I'll just add it layers. But no, you can see Keren's done it, so you don't need to.
Yeah. So, and when it's wet, that's another thing that we can do is sprinkle glitter before it dries.
Sparkly.
So you've got a real sparky.
Okay.
So the best thing that I found was just to use the acetate sheets.
Lovely.
Really nice and quick and simple. And there are 2 ways of doing it. The first one I'm going to do is just using the die cutting machine.
Oh, good.
And you can't see very well on this, but I'm just going to use the clouds from here.
They're really cool, aren't they?
So there's 2 clouds there. So I've got my piece of acetate. I'm just going to pop it over. Now, when you're using acetate with the Express, the best thing to do is to use your metal shim. Okay. Now, when you put it through, you'll hear this enormous crack. You haven't broken anything, honest. But it's just the noise of the acetate being cut. So that's what, if any of you sort of worry about that.
Because the acetate's really sort of sturdy, isn't it?
Really,
it's not
really
like a sort
good.
of floppy, that wouldn't be any good, would it? Like a sort of thin.
No, absolutely. So it's just base plate, your dies, the acetate, the metal plate, the cutting plate, on at 5.5.
Oh yeah.
There it is. The machine is not broken, it's still safe, we're good to go.
Oh,
Okay.
wow, that's sliced straight through that, isn't it? That's
really, really
incredible.
easy. And then the other way of using or creating your stencil is just to use your screw punch.
Ah. You just do it lots and lots of times.
Yes. So just sometimes it needs a little bit of help to come out. So I would just create a random pattern. If you wanted to be really precise, you could use the permanent pens.
Ah, yes.
And you could just put little dots on, and then you could follow the dots for the arrangement. So those are the two ways of making sort of basic stencils.
Fantastic.
So I'll use one, and I'll show you how we're going to make. So you just need your cardstock.
Lovely.
Okay. And then you're going to lay your stencil over exactly where you want it to be. And this is where the craft tape comes in. Very, very handy. So what we need to do is secure it, both the stencil to the cardstock and the cardstock to the mat, because it won't move then.
Okay.
When I'm putting the craft tape on, I just be really light over the cardboard.
Right.
Okay, so I don't end up pulling the surface back off when I remove it. So to do, all we need to do is just get some blobs of it. Okay, and we're literally just going to spread it on the top.
Oh, wow.
Ideally, you want whatever you're using to scrape down to be wider, or at least as wide. I mean, and what you need to do is not go backwards and forwards a lot.
Right.
Because what will happen, and I can show you one of the examples that I've done, because the acetate's very thin, if you're not careful, the paste will actually start seeping underneath it.
Got you.
So when we're actually dragging it over, what you want to do is sort of press down and pull. So you're putting pressure on, and it helps
rather than
stop.
sort of scraping it.
Yeah, don't scrape, sort of
down.
press down and sort of pull at an angle.
So you're keeping the acetate sort of flattened down.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, that's fantastic.
You can see I've got a tiny bit of seeped under there.
Yep.
The other thing to mention is if you want lots of texture, you know, you can add texture in now. You know, you can do what you like. However you leave it is how it will dry.
Got ya.
Okay, so it's not going to suddenly go really, really flat.
Right.
How it is now is how it will dry. So if I just carefully remove.
Actually, that looks pretty perfect.
Okay, so to make the card, I'm going to actually use some colour on the texture paste.
Lovely.
Just using one of our pearlescent pigment pads. So all I'm going to do is just, and obviously you would be more careful with this, but these little earbuds are just perfect for this.
Yeah, that's really clever.
And again, if you wanted to, you could actually add embossing powder over the top of this as well, so you could get a shine to it. Or Anita's 3D gloss. You know, really, once you start messing around with this, you'll find there's so many things that you can do with it. Okay, so to make my card up, I've got just a craft card base.
Lovely.
And that's my glue. Now, normally, I would be fairly sparing, because you don't need, because it's such strong adhesive, these tape runners, you don't need to cover every single little bit.
No.
But because I've used the embossing paste, and obviously my cardstock now is a little bit bent, what I'm going to do is try and put plenty of adhesive on just to help sort of straighten it out.
You've got a little bit of weight there as well at the top.
Yeah.
Haven't you?
And then I've used my white pigment pad and the seafoam white embossing powder, and I've actually stamped using my set of Bellissimo stamps here.
Fantastic.
Now again, because I have got a sentiment that I wanted to go across and not down, what I've done is I've snipped it apart. So
Very
it means
cunning.
that I can actually put it on my acrylic block together, and I can actually have it this way or this way.
That's
so
really good. Get
it's just more
twice the stamp
versatile.
for your
Absolutely.
bang for your buck, don't you?
Yeah, totally. So there's my bit of vellum on there, parchment vellum. So I've cut out using the nested circle dies.
Yes.
And then I've just chopped them in half, and then just finish off
So you
by
just use the two sort of the sizes next to each other,
just
haven't
use
you?
different colours of the rainbow. And I'm just going to add,
It's a bit of doodling.
yeah, it just helps lift them off the page.
That looks great.
Okay, and then all we're going to do is just add them onto the card. Right, so I just trim the edges of my rainbow off. Okay, and then we're just going to pop our sentiment over. And again, using this adhesive, this permanent adhesive, there's very little that you can see underneath the parchment vellum,
That's
so it
ideal.
just means that we can pop it over. And you know, if you're wanting to cover up the dodgy mistakes that you've made, just put it further down.
Very good. There's no such thing as a mistake.
No.
We definitely wanted the sentiment down there.
Okay, I'll just pop it up here. And then just to finish off, I'm just going to add some adhesive gems. So just
That's
put,
lovely.
So there we go, a nice simple way of using,
wonderful.
make your own embossing paste and make your own stencils.
That's brilliant. Thank you so much for coming in.
It's a
That was
pleasure.
wonderful. If you've enjoyed Keren's project, do pop along to docrafts.com and check out the supplies list, and the recipe, like we mentioned, we'll also pop that online for you as well. We really love to see what you've been making. If maybe you've come up with your own technique, we'd really love to hear about it. Drop us an email to tv@docrafts.com, and we may even feature your idea on a future episode of Do Crafts TV. Until next time, happy crafting.